Hey Wizard, so this video has nothing to do with trading. It has nothing to do with trading algorithms, but we're talking AI here because DALL-E very kindly allowed me to gain access here from their waiting list to go and test out the platform and the AI that essentially can just generate any image from text. And given that we talk a lot about emerging tech and how that applies to trading, etc. as well, I thought that this was super interesting. And using this feels a lot like when you're a kid and your friend calls you around to their house because they've got something new, like a Sega Mega Drive or whatever. You can probably tell my age now. And you go around and you play with that and you're like, this is amazing. I had the same sort of excitement when using this. This is super cool. So an example here is you can just punch in some text like I've done here to create this astronaut. I could say a one-line drawing, I don't know, of a Bitcoin next to an iPhone held by a monkey. It could be anything. And this AI will go and take that input. It will go, through its neural network from a pre-trained model and basically go and generate some kind of set of images from that. So I just thought it's super cool. And here you can see here's a monkey holding an iPhone with Bitcoin on it as an example and variations of that. One other one we could do, for example, is say an oil painting of a canoe riding off of a waterfall in Africa. I don't know. So anything you can really think of, and it doesn't take long at all to do this. Now, I've got a family member who's an artist, and I know the time it takes to create art. It can sometimes take up to months and sometimes even years to create a piece of artwork. But here, if you're a content creator, for example, like the thumbnail you would have seen for this video, this can be extremely useful. So we'll do one more, and then we can talk about the potential application of this sort of thing. So here we can say a photo of an astronaut flying through space at the speed of light near a bright galaxy. I tend to like the space ones a lot, I think probably because I'm a space nerd. But some of the earlier ones that I was testing out here was, creating, for example, a crypto superhero or whatever, and it understands crypto. It's been trained on all these sort of things. So this person inside this astronaut here is not even a real face. This is something that the AI generated. I don't know what's going on here with this one. At the top, it seems not to have generated anything. But this is extremely impressive, right? You can basically create any art you want. So how does this apply to trading, right? So I think, anyone who's not really well versed at all in machine learning, and I know a lot of the folk who would have gone through the machine learning for trading and crypto and stock trading course on Udemy, will now be getting an understanding of or already have an understanding of how machine learning and AI and deep learning models work. For me, what this shows is the power of large networks. I think if there's anything that AI and, blockchain, etc., are bringing to the forefront or kind of making a point of, it's that large networks can do very powerful things. Like if we think of our brain as being a large network of neurons, right, which connect and have different strengths of connections with each other, that's a lot like how a neural network works. Obviously, our brains are a lot more complex and it goes a lot deeper than that. But the point is that we can generalize. And so what this AI is essentially doing over here is it's able to generalize. It's able to take completely different abstract things. It's able to try to discern a drawing from a photograph. Oh, it's finished the other one. Now we've got an astronaut, looks like a woman here riding through space as well. It's able to do, a lot of different things. So how does that apply to trading? Well, the way I see it, it depends on how the models are trained. So what theoretically you could do is you could train an AI to learn about inputs and outcomes of different strategies, right? So you could enter in something that says, I want a strategy which is, low risk. So it's risk off, not risk on. and I wanted to, return a Sharpe ratio of up to or over 1.5. And you could maybe have that AI write its own code and backtest that code, etc. But truthfully speaking, I don't think you need an AI to do something like that. I think that's something you would just program in yourself. The other thing is, for me, this is much more around steering towards AGI, so artificial general intelligence. So right now with AI, we're using artificial narrow intelligence. That's when you're pointing AI to a narrow problem to solve a narrow set of problems. So everything used from speech recognition to generating pictures online, this is all artificial, narrow intelligence. AGI, artificial general intelligence, is something that, as far as we know, doesn't exist right now. And this is where it's theorized that we could hit something called the singularity, right? And so if you're not sure what the singularity is, I'll just draw it for you now. Excalidraw, one of my favorite apps ever. So we'll just go to Excalidraw and I'll draw something for you here. So if you picture a graph that looks, something like this over here, and this line here, which I'll do in, blue, is human intelligence, right? This is our brain's capacity as a human race. Well, what about artificial intelligence, right? So if you have artificial intelligence, and let's say right now it's at this point over here, right? What happens when artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence? And this point where that happens is known as the singularity, etc. Because our own intellect can't comprehend the impact of that, of what that level of intelligence looks like. I personally think that consciousness probably comes from it is the result of ridiculously large connections, or a network of connections. And, when you watch programs like Through the Wormhole that ask questions with Morgan Freeman, who narrates that wonderfully, does the ocean think, for example, it really gets you thinking as to what is consciousness, like what is it really? So I just thought this was very interesting. I was very excited by it. You can apply like I did. You can get on the waiting list for DALL-E to use it. And I might even use it for some thumbnails for the YouTube channel. So very out of the ordinary type of video here, just giving some thoughts. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.